Hello, Darren here. Welcome back to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. For those that don't know, I arrived here on the 28th of February and my visa was due to run out on the 29th of May. Now, obviously, for the last 2 months, we've been in a movement control order here in the country, and many of us have decided to stay here rather than go back home to our home countries. Many of us, Brits, American, French, Portuguese, Spanish, so many different nationalities have been in touch with me over the last couple of weeks. And it's a very stressful time, but I want to say what's really important is that you are patient, you are clear-headed, and yeah, just try and reduce the anxiety as much as you can. Things will get sorted. That's what you have to keep saying to yourself. Now, a disclaimer, none of this is advice. All of this will depend on your own personal situation, and I cannot possibly cover every single scenario. So all I can tell you is what I went through this experience of extending my visa, and what you might need to do to achieve that too. I will keep referring to my phone because I have a ton of notes on here and I want to make sure that I cover everything. So firstly, appointments. You cannot just turn up at the headquarters in Putrajaya. You must book an appointment. I saw many people turning up hoping to get in for an appointment. It will not happen. Now, there's 2 ways that you can get an appointment. Firstly, you can use the PowerQ app. If you go to Google Play or the Apple Store, then you can actually download the app. PowerQ is the name of the app. I'll put a link to the Google Play and the Apple Store down in the description. You can also book appointments on an actual website as well. Again, I will leave a link to that down in the description. As far as I am aware, this social visit pass can only be extended at the headquarters in Putrajaya. I'm not aware that you can go to local immigration offices, so just bear that in mind. If that's not the case, you've been to a local immigration office and extended, then please do let me know down in the comments. But as far as I'm aware, it's the HQ in Putrajaya. Now, I use the PowerQ app rather than the website. I've been keeping in touch with the immigration through Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and getting notifications from them. And as soon as I was informed that you can book an appointment, I jumped straight onto the PowerQ app. You need to have a local phone number, so you can just go to a convenience store if you don't have one and buy a SIM card. It's so easy to do. And then you will have a local number. You can register on the app. You will get a message and a number to log into the app. Now, that can take a number of times for that to happen. I think I tried it about 4 or 5 times before I got the notification. So there's obviously lots of people using this service. So be patient and keep trying. But you will get notified at some point. Then you can register on the app. Then you can basically book your appointment slots. And as far as I'm aware, they're doing it in 5-day blocks, and they're opening up the block meetings around midnight. But there will be cancellations, so my recommendation is to check the app also between 3 and 4 p.m. I noticed my slot became available around 3:30 in the afternoon, and I was able to jump on that because I kept checking regular on the app, and thankfully I got an appointment after it. It took me about 5 days to get an appointment, so you do have to be patient. But yeah, keep checking all of the dates. Don't just check the date you might want to go. Just keep checking, like I say, midnight and around 3-4 p.m. is my recommendation. If anybody's got any other suggestions or tips around that, please do leave them down in the comments. Now, whilst you are waiting for your appointment, the best thing to do is get yourself prepared. Firstly, you will need the form which is IMM55. I will leave a link in the description to download that PDF form. Bear in mind that the website is incredibly busy right now, so I would try early hours in the morning. I would try maybe midnight or 1 a.m. or something like that, because the website is much quieter. Maybe try later into the evening when most people are asleep. That's the best way to get hold of the form. Get it printed. Also, what I recommend you do is take a photocopy of the front part of your passport where the photo is and all of your details, and also take a photocopy of the actual visa stamp, and that will say when you actually arrived in Malaysia, and that just speeds up the process a little bit. That's what I found. Having all that information to hand definitely helped them, and it helped me. If your flight has been cancelled, make sure that you print those tickets out, along with any emails or correspondence to confirm that it has been cancelled. Also, if you have any flights going out of Malaysia in the future, then also print those out as well. That will definitely help your case, the fact that you've got a flight out of the country. Do you need a flight out of the country? That's an interesting question, and we'll get into that towards the end of the video. I think it's really important to get yourself organised whilst you are waiting for your meeting booking, because it could be that you've got a slot appear on the day that you check the app. So you need to be able to go like that and get it sorted. So yes, use that time wisely. I think this is a smart idea. I wasn't asked for this document, but I think taking a print of your latest bank statement is a good idea, just to confirm that you've got funds in your account to stay in Malaysia. Like I said, I wasn't asked for that, but it might speed up the process if you are asked for it by an immigration officer. What you have to bear in mind is that every immigration officer is different, and we'll get into, the length or period of the extension later in the video, when I'm answering the questions. But just think ahead a little bit. What kind of documentation do you think that the immigration officer is going to be looking for? And like I say, it's your flight tickets, it's your bank statement, it's your passport copies, and just anything that you think is going to speed up the process. My advice would be to have a few plans, just in case your visa isn't extended. And to be honest, I have heard of cases where people's visa hasn't been extended. So you need to take that into consideration. At the end of the MCO, what are you going to do to leave the country if your visa isn't extended? I'm not trying to raise your anxiety levels. I'm just trying to be honest with you, and you need to have a plan. Do bear in mind that you will have 14 days from the end of the MCO to either leave the country or get your visa extended. The thing is, if you are leaving to extend your visa after the MCO, the chance of getting a booking is going to be even slimmer, or you are going to have to queue up for hours, depending on how many people they allow to come for meetings. They may keep it at the total of 150 people a day, so it's going to take a long time to get your visa extended. So you must make sure that you bear that in mind. You don't want to be leaving or being in the country after those 14 days, because you will be penalised. You could be fined and you could be blacklisted from coming back to Malaysia. So I'm not trying to scare you, but you need to be organised, you need to make a decision, and you need to stick with that decision that you make. Okay, so you've got your appointment and you've got to go to Putrajaya to get your visa extended. The first thing you need to bear in mind is that if you are travelling by the road, there will be potential roadblocks, because obviously you can't travel into another state. Now, that depends obviously where you are based. I was based in Selangor. I am based in Selangor. And that meant that I have to go through Selangor, through Kuala Lumpur, and then into Putrajaya. But if you use public transport, I didn't have any problems. I used the MRT to KL Central, and then I caught the transit train to Putrajaya, and then ordered a grab taxi to take me to the headquarters. Didn't have any problems, but just bear in mind, make sure that your mobile phone is fully charged up. You will get a barcode. If you do it through the PowerQ system, you will get a barcode that you can show to people if you are asked where you are going to as you are travelling on the public transport, because that might happen depending on the time of the day you are travelling. So bear that in mind. I didn't have any problems, but having a copy of either your barcode, your email with the confirmation of the appointment is really important. When you are coming back, you will have your stamp in the passport to say that your visa's been extended, hopefully, so at least you can show the police officer that if you have any problems getting back home after the immigration office. My advice would be not to arrive at the immigration office more than 30 minutes before your meeting. Because if you are there an hour and a half, you are going to have to walk around Putrajaya. Now it's very quiet, but everywhere is closed. There's not a great deal of things open there. Obviously, there's very much of a business district, a government building district. So there's not a great deal of things open. So don't, be walking around for hours on end. Just get there within plenty of time. I think if you leave it too close to your appointment time, you run the risk of being right at the back of the queue and then taking forever to get into the building. So I recommend half an hour before and you should be near the front of the queue. That was the case with me. Once you get into the building, your temperature will be taken and then you'll go and meet the first immigration officer. They will ask you, why do you want to extend and how long for? You tell them you're honest that your flight's been cancelled, that you don't feel safe going back to your home country because of the virus and you feel safer here. Whatever the reason is based on your situation, obviously it could be different for everybody. And then what you'll be given possibly is new forms to complete. You'll complete those forms, you'll get the elevator up to the 3rd floor, you'll be greeted by another immigration officer at a desk where they will take your temperature again. You'll fill your details in a logbook and then you can go to the PowerQ machine, scan your barcode and you'll then be given a ticket and then walk into the immigration hall. All social distancing throughout when you're queuing up and inside as well. Plenty of markers on the floor. Don't be that person that encroaches close to somebody else. Respect everybody else's space. Really important. Social distancing is super important during this time. Once you are in the immigration hall, you'll see a desk of around, I think it's about 14 or 15 desks with immigration officers behind them. You'll take a seat, wait for your number to appear, go to the appropriate immigration desk, hand over all of your paperwork. At that point, if there's any queries, they will ask you questions. They didn't ask me anything. It was very simple. They took my passport and all of the paperwork. I was then asked to sit down, wait for my number to appear again, and then you go to the cashier to pay for your visa. Now that costs 100 ringgits for a 2-month visa extension, which I thought was quite cheap, to be honest. Is it about what, £18, about 23 US dollars, something along those lines. But this is where it gets very, very stressful. What you need to be aware of is that they do not accept international credit or debit cards. And from what I've gathered, that is due to scams that have occurred in the past. So you need to have a Malaysian debit or credit card. Now, as a tourist, you are not going to have that. So what you need to make sure you do is take cash with you. Take notes. I would recommend that you take 200 ringgits just in case you get that 3-month visa, because I think that does cost more money. I'm not too sure how much it costs, but for a 2-month, it's 100 ringgits. Take cash. And what you will have to do is ask a local Malaysian who is also in the immigration hall if they could use their debit card and you can give them cash. Now, if you've got a good immigration officer, they will help you with that. If you don't have a very helpful immigration officer, you will have to ask people in the hall. I saw a mix of it. I was lucky that I got a very nice gentleman who helped me communicate with a local, who very kindly, thank you by the way for doing that, but they used their debit card, I gave them the cash and all was good. But that was a very stressful time because I didn't know that. I thought I could use my international credit card and debit card. I took all my different payment methods with me, and yeah, that was stressful. So bear that in mind. It's super important that you take cash with you. I don't think there's any ATMs in the building. I didn't see any. So just bear that in mind. Once you've paid for your visa, you sit down again and wait for your passport to be returned. Once that's given to you, you can leave the building and go on your way, and hopefully your visa has been extended. Mine was extended for 2 months. I leave Malaysia on the 25th of July, and my plans is to head to Seoul for 3 months. That depends obviously how the situation is with immigration into Seoul. Gonna keep an eye out on that over the next 10 weeks that I'm here. In total, it took 1 hour and 45, which to be honest, I thought was really good. I was expecting to be there for 4 or 5 hours, but because of social distancing and only having 150 people booking meetings per day, it did mean that the process was really nice and simple. You queued, you went in, there was a flow. It's a little bit intimidating, it's a little bit anxious waiting to get your visa, but in the end, all was good, and the process was very simple. There was social distancing, and I was very happy with the result at the end of it. And 1 hour and 45 at the end of the day isn't too long to be getting an extension on your visa. I'm now going to be answering some questions that I've been given on social media. So I'm just going to keep looking at my phone. But basically, the first question is, how long did they extend your pass for? Mine was extended for 2 months. I wanted 3 months. I did book a flight on the 14th of August and took a copy of that in the hope that that would make them extend it for 3 months, but they didn't. It was only 2. That's fine though. I'm just going to have to change the flight dates. It's not the end of the world. At least I know that I've got 2 months here and I'm not anxious now. I can just enjoy the time that I've got here. What I can do will be interesting over the next couple of weeks and months, but yeah, at least I'm not anxious about my visa now, which I think is really important if you are the type of person that's been very anxious about all of this. The next question is, what did the immigration officers ask you? To be honest, there were very few questions. There was not a great deal of communication between myself and the immigration officers. It was basically, how long do you want to stay here for and what is the reason for your extension? And that is the only questions I was asked. I told them that I wanted to stay for 90 days and they said, I'm sorry, that's not possible. Well, they didn't say sorry, they just said that's not possible. That they can only extend me for 2 months, which is fine. I did have to change my flight because originally I booked to go to Seoul on the 14th of July, but that's fine, not a huge problem, not the end of the world in the current situation. It's trivial. So yes, very few questions, and that was all really that was asked of me. I didn't get any more questions than that. Obviously it will depend on your situation, and yeah, it's going to be different from person to person, to be completely honest. So the next question is, how long did they extend your pass for? So as I said, for me, it was 2 months, but I've spoken to a number of tourists over the last week, and it's a mix. Some people haven't had their visa extended. Some people have had 3 months. Very few people have had that. Most people have had either 2 or 1 month extensions. But there are people that haven't had it extended, so just have a plan B and C. I think that's really important, just in case you have to leave the country. Another question that I've been asked quite a lot is, did they ask me whether I have a ticket out of Malaysia? I wasn't asked for that, but I decided that I wanted to book a ticket because I felt it would improve the chances of me getting my 3-month visa pass. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So, do you need to book a flight out? It's a difficult question for me to answer, to be completely honest. Because I wasn't asked. But yeah, it's a difficult one for me to answer. I feel that if you are going through a normal immigration process, forget COVID-19 and the pandemic, normally you have to have a flight booked out of the country before you go for an extension. So my kind of thoughts on that are that you should book a flight out, but obviously you are going to be limited, and that might be the reason why they are not asking for flights out of the country. Let me know if you've been through that process and if they asked you or not down in the comments. Everybody that's got questions, go and check the comments. Leave questions if there's none of them answered. The next frequently asked question that I've been getting is, was your visa expired when immigration gave you an extension? No, it wasn't. I decided that I wanted to get it sorted now rather than waiting till the end of the MCO. Because as I said earlier in the video, my concern is that if I leave it until the end of the MCO, there's going to be literally, potentially thousands of people trying to get an extension. And if they're only doing 150 meetings a day, then obviously it's going to take me a long time to get an appointment. So I wanted to get it sorted now, get it out of the way, so that I know I've got 10 weeks here in Malaysia and I can relax. So mine wasn't expired, but I know a lot of people who have had visas expired. And as it stands right now, you've got 2 weeks after the end of the MCO to get all of that sorted. But just bear in mind, it could be quite a stressful period if there's a lot of people waiting until that point. The other questions are, aside from the form, the immigration form, is there any other documents that you need? I kind of think I've gone through that already. It's basically any cancelled flight tickets, the front page of your passport, the immigration stamp, and the actual form that you need to complete. Complete that before you go to the meeting, because that will speed the process up for you. So yes, those are the documents that I'm aware of, but have a think about your own personal situation. Are there any other forms that you feel that they may ask for? Bear that in mind before you go. Get everything printed out. How much is the fee for the visa? I've kind of gone through that already. It cost me 100 ringgits for 2 months. Not too sure how much it is for 3 months. So yes, I'm glad that I didn't get 3 months in some respects. I certainly wouldn't have had enough cash to pay for that. I'd literally had 100 ringgits in my pocket just by luck going to the ATM before going to the immigration HQ. So lucky there. I did not realise that they didn't accept international credit and debit cards. And that is all of the questions that I've been asked. That is a process that I went through. I hope this video has been useful. If it has, please do give it a thumbs up. Please share it all over the internet. If you know Facebook groups, forums, anybody's asking for the process that somebody's gone through, please do share the video and help others. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comment section. I'm now going to edit this video, get it uploaded, and yes, I will be hanging around to answer any questions that people have. And yeah, just be patient, be kind, be courteous to people. Think about social distancing, so important, and keep calm, keep and have a level head, and hopefully you'll get that extension. See you all soon for a new video. I'm going to be doing a food review video next week, so keep a lookout for that. Talk soon.